Courtney and I's violin story began when Courtney was 6 years old and I was 8 years old. We were going to a private Christian school in the Cincinnati, Ohio area where we lived, and a lady from the Antonio Violin store came to our school one day trying to get kids to sign up to rent violins. And Courtney and I had never spoke to our parents about this at all. We just raised our hands and said, "We'll do it!"
We just said, "Sure, let's do it." And we didn't even think about asking our parents, which is kind of funny now.
And so Courtney and I both came home that day with two little tiny, I think maybe half-size violin cases. And we walked in the door and Mom and Dad were shocked. "Where did you get those? Who did you take those from?" And we walked in and said, "Hey, we got violins today and we learned how to play. You want to hear us?"
So Phil and I were like, "Sure, we can't wait, you know." Well, they pulled them out and they were trying to get them up under their chin and do the little bow things, you know. And I don't know the first thing, or didn't know the first thing about a violin back in the day. It was just an amazing journey to watch them as they continued to grow. And I mean, the more they played, the more excited they became. And I realized, you know what? This is gonna stick. This is gonna stick. We need to go ahead and pursue this.
Ever since we were little, Brooklyn was always drawn to the warmer sounds of the violin, almost a more viola sound, to be honest. And she plays a lot of those solos in our concerts, the lower parts. And so people actually assume that she plays the viola, but no, we both play violins. They're tuned in the same register. But they are made with different woods, and so mine is a lot brighter, more high sounding. So that's where people kind of get confused and think that I play the violin and she plays the viola.
The arrangements we do on stage usually start with the hymn book in the music room at home. And Mom will come up with one, or maybe one of us, something sounds interesting. And we'll read it through, get the lyric first. Can we convey this to people?
Since we were even little kids, when we would pick a song to play on stage, Mom made sure we knew the lyrics, because a lot of times we play hymns that older people might know, but we wouldn't quite know the lyric. So Mom would literally lay the hymn book out right in front of us and say, "Okay, this is what this verse says. So when you're playing that verse, make sure you play it like you mean it."
When I was really young and playing piano, I remember Sandy Patty came out with a song called "We Shall Behold Him." And I loved that song. I was 13 years old I think, when the song came out. And my daddy, being a preacher, he traveled around and spoke at different churches, and so I went with him one Sunday, and they asked me to play the offertory. And I had worked up a big arrangement of "We Shall Behold Him," and I played it. And after I got done, we got out in the car that Sunday afternoon, and it was just my dad and my dad said to me, "You did really good, Kimberly." I said, "Well, thank you, Daddy." He said, "There was only one problem." I said, "Well, what was that?" He said, "Nobody knew the song." And I remember looking at him in the car and I said, "Well, so? Why does that matter?" He said, "Let me give you a little piece of advice." He said, "If you ever want to minister through music and you're just playing an instrument, you're not singing a lyric, you might want to play something that people know so that they can worship with you."
We picked a song called "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" when we were putting together our new project. And it's a song that pretty much everybody knows. I mean, if you've been to church any time, you're probably going to know that song.
Most evangelical Christians would know that song. But I got the hymn book out, and it's nothing for Mama to get a hymn book out in the practice room, and then we'll start crying, because we'll start reading, "What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer." And when we begin to quote those lyrics, they're deep, they're meaningful, and they touch the heart.
It just actually touches me more almost than any song on the album, just because it is so simple and you can really just let it sink in when you're hearing it.